Shane, I'm an alcoholic. Oh, hold on. Okay, it's being recorded. Cool. Hi guys, my name's Shane. I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. Jocelyn, thank you so much for asking me to speak. I think it's definitely what I needed because I haven't been to a Zoom meeting in quite a while. And what better way than to attend an international one? So many people, so many newcomers, everyone just like listing on that group chat. Like that was like just the way to start this meeting was unreal. Like to see that really just puts it into perspective that there's so many people willing to get sober, whether you're young, you're older, whatever. And during like this pandemic, especially, and just life stresses that people are willing to do it. So it really puts things into perspective for me, not to make everything about myself just because I don't like a Zoom meeting, maybe. So thank you once again. Yeah, so I am the chairperson for the Monkey Paw group. Monkey Paw stands for Montreal, Quebec Young People of Alcoholics Anonymous. Honestly, I don't even really know how to fully define it. All I can say is that so there's the area within Montreal and the greater of Montreal, so the boroughs that are surrounding the island. But we remain an independent committee. We still collaborate with the area, however, we remain independent. And we are mostly known for hosting our New Year's party and our Halloween dance party. New Year's, what we do is we rent a space in a college and we basically have a dance. And there's meetings, we have marathon meetings, there's like a dance floor, there's, the place where everyone smokes, obviously, bunch of energy drinks, whatever, all the newcomers love. So it's a really good time. And I was just so honored to be a part of that in 2020. I remember I was in charge of coat check and it was like so chaotic. It was so crazy. There was so many people. I think like almost 700 people showed up. It was crazy, insane. I couldn't believe how many sober people were there. And even when I tell my friends who aren't in the program and I just tell them something like that, like it doesn't register for them that like that many sober people get together and can have fun. I think it's more that they're like, oh, you guys really still have fun. And in the beginning, I thought like, I guess so. Like I didn't believe it that I could still have fun. I was always so scared getting sober that I wouldn't have as much fun as I did before, or that I would turn to a boring person. And it couldn't be further from the truth. It really couldn't. Anyways, yeah, there was a lot of people. It was a lot of fun. I was in coat check. It was crazy, a bit stressful, but I just embraced it and I had a great time. It really kept me sober. So yeah, I've been a part of Monkey Paw now for almost 2.5 years, I'd say. But yeah, I won't talk too much about what it was like. I think I'm here really I'd like to talk about service. I think it's super important. But I'll talk a little bit about it. My sobriety date is November 9th of 2019. And it's not my first time around. I first came around right after rehab. So I got out of rehab when I was 17. I was in AA for a bit, and then I went back out for a long time. I came back June 8th of 2018. I stayed sober up until November 9th of 2019. It was like a one-night slip. And I was in Monkey Paw during that whole time. Maybe not the first few months of my second time around. And I remember going to this committee, like all I knew at this point was, service for my home group. So, setting up the tables and doing the coffee and being the greeter and sharing or whatever it was. And that was really great. I loved it, but I didn't even understand like anything beyond it. And I remember my sponsor at the time was like, you're coming to a Monkey Paw meeting. And I was like, what? Are we going to the zoo? I was so confused. He didn't explain. He was just like, we're going to a Monkey Paw meeting. So I got in his car and we drove there. And it was so wild to be in this meeting where it's like, it's kind of businessy and using terms like motion to make this, I abstain this, blah, 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 blah. I was like, so not what I was used to. I didn't understand anything that was going on. And I would just keep looking at my sponsor for like reassurance of like, what? What's going, I don't understand. And he said, it's okay. I didn't understand either, but just keep coming. Like, just keep coming back. Like, come to this. It's gonna help. And for a while, I just came. I wasn't really fully committed to Monkey Paw. I would help with certain events, but I didn't hold any type of position. And I remember it was right before the pandemic started, or just about when it started. Our chairperson no longer wanted to hold the position. They let go of their position. And at this point, I believe that you needed to have at least a year of sobriety before you could have this position. And at the time, I was maybe 6, 7 months. But my the group members there was a group conscious decision that they wanted me to be the chairperson, and I was just like, I had I always grew up with like, if I'm not good something right away, I just don't want to do it, and I pretty much did that my whole life. Of course, there was like the odd things that I liked, but for the most part, I didn't want to do it. Like, forget it. I'm not about that. Um, and I kind of just, a big thing that A has taught me, that you obviously can say no, but like, certain things like, with service or helping another alcoholic in some way, you just do it. And so I just took the position. And of course, I had all that negative talk in my head, like, I'm not going to be good enough. I'm not going to do well. I'm not, like, I'm not really an assertive person, or I'm not much of a leader. So I don't know how I'm going to do well. I'm just going to blah, 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 blah. And, it's been about a year and a bit that I've had this position, and, I love it. I really, really, really love it. Of course, we still bite our heads off once in a while in the business meetings, but I mean, it's pretty normal. We still all love each other. Actually, about not our last service meeting, but the one before that, one of our group members, she has a back injury, so she's not able to leave her home. So we all of us, well, a couple of us drove out to her place, and we just went on her front yard, and we all put chairs around, and we did the meeting in person. And it's just things that like that camaraderie that I've been feeling with the Monkey Paw committee has been really strong, and I've made a lot of good friends. And I guess I've learned some type of leadership skills. Never did I ever think that would ever happen. So it's been, and a big part of that is from like, I think before I did Monkey Paw, I did pray, of course, but I felt like it felt the most genuine when I started doing Monkey Paw, mainly because I was just super nervous. So I think that's a big thing that, of course, before that, service really kept me occupied, and it really held me accountable with certain things, but I really felt like, providing service on a district level, it really helped me to the point where I felt like, okay, I really got to put some faith in something that I really just want to control, but I can't. So, yeah, we haven't hosted anything yet. We've done a couple outdoor things here in Montreal, like the curfew, not the curfew, sorry, the restrictions with COVID here are kind of wishy-washy. But we're doing things outside in like the park and whatnot, but we can't host any serious events yet. But slowly but surely, we're kind of just waiting around, seeing what happens. I think like a lot of us are. Actually, no, I think in the States it's like pretty, I don't know. I actually don't know. But anyways, yeah, I guess I'll go a bit about myself. I'll go back a bit about, what it was like for me too. So I grew up with a single mom. My dad, my mom split up when I was like 6 months old. My dad's an alcoholic. He's also a drug addict. And my mom and him used to party a lot together before I was around. My mom was a bartender in Montreal in the early 90s. A lot of drugs, a lot of drinking, rock and roll. So yeah, they partied a lot together. And then my mom decided she doesn't want to party anymore. My dad wanted to continue. They broke up. He got sober. They got back together. She got pregnant with me. He started using and drinking again while she was pregnant. They basically broke up. And yeah, so it's just my mom and I for a bit. And then my mom met another guy. So then we had my brother, technically my half brother, but he's my brother. We have the same mom. And, you know, I was raised well. My mom loved me. I think not out of spite, but, you know, her parents, according to her, didn't raise her well at all. She thinks they shouldn't have been parents in the first place. And she really didn't want that for me. She really didn't, you know, like she took like child psychology, all this stuff. And so she did really well. I don't put the blame on the way I was raised. There was no childhood trauma. So I can't put the blame on my family for my alcoholism. But I think that, you know, being a young kid, I always did kind of feel this sense of like I didn't belong, and I don't know when it started or what really happened. It kind of just, I can't pinpoint it, but all I know is that like it was kind of just like a default to be like I am less than, or not really, not when I was younger, not more than, just usually less than. But I remember, I think I was 9 or 10, and my mom's a smoker, and she like had I took a lighter and I just brought it to school. And at this point, I kind of like had some friends, but I never felt like I really impressed any. Whatever, I just didn't feel like I belonged. And then I remember I just like took some leaves and I like burnt the leaves, and all like to these guys or to the other kids were like, "Whoa, that's so cool!" And I remember that feeling of like, okay, so I have to do things like this to feel good about myself. And I remember later in my life, you know, I started skipping school, not doing my homework, just kind of not really caring about my education really. And I remember I started doing drugs before I was drinking. Like I was just smoking weed. I remember actually the first time I smoked, I didn't get high, but I pretended to be just so I could look like cool in front of my friends. And so to me, I guess like that the image of who I am really mattered, because I guess, I mean, I'm at a young age where it's kind of like you're not. I don't think I was able to pinpoint like what does image mean and all that stuff, but definitely looking back in hindsight, um, I cared a lot about that. And you know, it escalated into my friends were doing graffiti. I'd go out with them, and then we'd drink in public, and blah 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 blah. And then I went to rehab when I was 17, like I said earlier, and that's when I first was introduced to AA. And I remember my first meeting, like reading the preamble and all this stuff. I was just there. I'm like, I'm here because rehab told me to come, and I don't want to get in trouble. And I kind of did like that same thing where I didn't really do something for myself. It was more just so that like you can get off my back. Um, and that lasted till I was 21, a couple of years. It's because I met a girl who like also wanted to get sober, and obviously like once again I like didn't really know where to start looking for myself, if that makes any sense. So I was like, okay, like you know who you are, you're in music, like you're going to university, blah blah blah. You seem to know what you're doing, and you like me. I'm just gonna like tag along and be your little pet, and everything will be fine. And that's pretty much why I was able to white knuckle it. Definitely like a dry drunk the whole time. Still super scared. Didn't know what I wanted to do, and had no interest in finding out what I wanted to do. And then I remember we went to Thailand one summer, and that was like a true testament to our relationship. We just like fought the whole time. I wanted to drink so badly. I don't know if anyone's been to Thailand before, but it's like a party country. So I was so miserable. But I didn't drink. And then I got back, we broke up, and boom, that's like off to the races. That's like when I started trying like hard drugs, like drinking a lot more. And at this point, you know, like I drank once when I was 18, and that was it. So I felt like I was kind of like the late bloomer, like this 21-year-old who is drinking at the bars for the first time in his life. And it escalated really, really, really quickly. And before I knew it, I was in contact with my old best friend who I used to party with. And then it's turning into, you know, I'm blowing all my cash on the weekend. Then I'm stealing money from work during the week so that I can smoke weed so I can wind down off the partying. And mind you, at the time I was working for my ex-girlfriend's parents. So I was hired from them while we were together, and I stayed there after we broke up. And they've always been good to me. I remember like 1 year for my birthday, my mom couldn't do anything for me. So they threw me like a party and they did this whole thing for me while my ex and I were still together. And then here I am, you know, because I blew all my money and I need money for this. So I'm just going to take your cash. And I did that for like a year. And I still haven't told them. That's an amends that I still need to make, actually. I think that's the lot. There's more amends, but like that's the one that really like will always still lingers in my mind. And it's something I'd like to do. Definitely one of those God blocks that people talk about. Sometimes I have a God block, but that one, usually it's pretty subconscious, but sometimes it rises up. So it's a clear indicator. Make your amends. Yeah, so anyways, keep going. I kept partying, and I remember every like Friday or Saturday night when it was like the sun was finally coming up, and then I would come to and I would be sitting there in the driveway with my friend, and I'd say like, dude, we got to stop doing this, man. Like, what are we doing? It would always be like that. Like I feel this huge sense of guilt or shame, realizing like what I'm doing is wrong, but you know, I wouldn't do anything about it. And I remember one time I was like, dude, I just gotta find a girl that like can love me, and like I'll be a good guy. I'll just be a good guy if she loves me. And lo and behold, I met someone who's super codependent, and you know, I'm super codependent, and you know, she could just take my bullshit because I kept doing what I was doing. You know, there was like this novelty of when we dated that I was going to be a good guy and like stop drinking, blah 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 blah. But it didn't last, and she kept up with it because she loved me. She really loved me, and so she put up with anything. And then you know, it came to a point where I think it was just so obvious that this wasn't working out, that, you know, I was mistreating her. She couldn't handle it anymore. And then we broke up. And then when you know, my rock bottom or whatever you call it, I don't really think I had what's the word? A tangible rock bottom, I guess, so to speak. I think I had more of just like that, you know, I've gotten sober before, and although it was a dry drunk, at least things didn't feel as unmanageable. Of course, I still didn't deal with my fear. I had no faith, which I think plays such a big part of my life today. But I just had this view of like, if I just keep doing this, because now I had this opportunity where we broke up, so I can go back and move with my friend, and we can just go back to what we were doing before. Because, you know, when we were dating, she was in the way of my drinking, so I didn't really want that. But I just saw like this fork in the road in my mind that like, okay, I can try and get some help, or I can go back to where I was. And I just decided to get help. I started with like doing some therapy through work, and then I went to some meetings, and then yeah, I got sober. I did my steps, and then yeah, I had that one night slip, like I said, in November. And then I came back the next day, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" Came back the next day, and you know what's funny is that like a big part of it was because like I actually slipped on a Friday night. Saturday, I woke up the next day, went to a meeting, and then Sunday we had our service meeting with Monkey Paw. And I like remember that like I had so many friends that I made in Monkey Paw, and I just was like, I gotta go for them. Like, I gotta go for them. Like, I don't really want to go, but like, whatever, I'll just go. And so Monkey Paw would play a big part in like holding myself accountable that like I got to do what I have to do. So I really thank Monkey Paw for that as well. Because I think at that time, I didn't really, at the time, I didn't feel like I knew how to love myself, but I knew that all my friends loved me. And they really did. So I think they really helped me pull me back out of that. So yeah. And now in my life, I am now working a job that is super challenging, really out of my comfort zone, but I wouldn't have it any other way right now. I would not have it any other way. And I'm now redoing my steps with my sponsor. I think a big part of why I'm redoing my steps is that, you know, I've built some resentments that I didn't have to, like new resentments, brand new ones. And it's like a weird thing when you're building all these brand new ones in sobriety, at least for me. And after doing my steps, I'm like, I got a little egotistical where I thought, excuse me. Oh, I realize I'm talking pretty fast, so I'm really sorry for the interpreter. I forget what I was saying. Oh yeah, my steps. So yeah, I was saying that I got a bit egotistical and that I don't need to do my steps again. Like I already did them. Like I'm almost at 2 years now. Like it's okay. I haven't drank. I work a good job. You know, I have my own place. I pay my bills. Like checking off all these surface level accomplishments, and then realizing like this is bad. This is really bad. Because like this is what happened when I slipped last time, and I don't want to slip again. I really don't. And so I started doing my steps again. And another reason was that my sponsor and I were kind of drifting off a bit. He works up north in Nunavut, working in the mines, and he only comes back every 2 to 3 weeks. And you know, we just kind of stopped texting each other, stopped calling each other. And this was really a way to hold each other accountable. That like we're in this like we got to talk to each other a bit more, reconnect, and it's been amazing. It's been really good having that consistent connection or that communication, I should say, with my sponsor. And yeah, just finished step 4 and 5. Felt really good. A big thing that I've been praying for recently was in this order: surrender, acceptance, and faith. Because I was holding on to something for about a year up until 2 weeks ago. And I finally let go, and it was super painful. But that's my own fault, right? But I can let go at any time. And praying has really helped. And obviously accepting and then having some faith that everything will be fine. But as long as I keep praying, and I just have to keep it simple like that, because it's easy for me to just try and analyze everything. Like, why should I pray? How can it help me? And like, there's nothing wrong with asking questions, but I think there's a time and place for it for me at least, that like, sometimes it's best just not to question it. That's just the way it is for me. But yeah, I think that's all I have to share, because I was told once that if I don't know what else to say and I keep going, that it's just my ego talking. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys well, Jocelyn, thank you so much for asking me to share. Thank you guys for having me here. This meeting is awesome. Thanks.